Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Becoming CEO AF podcast. I'm your host, Kimba Garcia.
And I am your co-host, Amanda Bell.
Today, we have one of my favorite people and social media influencers here with us today, the infamous Sierra Nicole.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course, sister. I've heard so much about you, Sierra. I'm so grateful to meet you in person today and hear more about your story.
Oh, I'm excited. And, I've seen you also because, I've been connected with Kimba for a while, but I've seen you on her page and it looks like you guys are doing amazing things together. So I was so excited to just be able to come and even be in your presence and, talk and give value.
Oh, I love that.
Same. You said yes, and I was like, Amanda, she said yes. She's going to come. I'm so excited.
And I was that girl in the background going,
So Sierra and I have been connected on social media for a few years now, and I think we've been just watching each other's growth and cheering each other on from the sidelines, but this is not the first time we've met in person either. So been cheering each other on for a couple years. I was on Sierra's podcast a few years back when we were first kicking off RKG. She brought me on and interviewed me, which I was super grateful for at that time. We've been watching each other's journeys along the way. So to kick off, Sierra, if you don't mind just sharing, because I know your story, but I would love for our listeners right now to know your story, because it's a story. It's a story of triumph, of overcoming. Honestly, one of my favorite parts about your story is how youth never held you back. Where you came from has never held you back. So if you'll just share with our listeners a little bit about who you are, if that was what the whole podcast was about, then that would be value worth listening to. But we are going to jump in. Sierra has, how many followers do you have on YouTube? And I know it's over 100,000 on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm at like 100,000 on Facebook. YouTube is like 25,000. TikTok, 270,000. And then Instagram is 145,000.
So not only making a big splash on one platform, but multiple of them. And obviously that does require skill set, right? So we're going to share her story, but then we're also going to jump into, she's willing to share some value and secret sauces on how she's been able to build an audience of this size and impact as many other people out there as she could. So, all right, Sierra, we'll jump into your story, and then you guys hang around. You don't want to miss. I don't want to miss what she has to say.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate it. It's hard. I got to try to live up to that intro. But, I've been in Texas for about 6 years now. I'm originally from Gilbert, Arizona. So Gilbert, it's like a medium-sized town. Most people know Phoenix or Scottsdale. So we're like a little bit outside of that is where I grew up. And I grew up in an area where there weren't a lot of people who look like me. So I dealt with a lot of like self-esteem issues. I didn't really fit in because I'm kind of like the awkward, shy girl, so I struggled like socially in school. I was the kid, and people are always so surprised because they see me on social media and I'm just like doing like funny stuff or just being very outgoing online. But in real life, I'm very like shy, reserved. I was that kid who used to like eat lunch in the school bathroom in high school because I was just so awkward. I didn't want people to laugh at me because I didn't have friends. Like it was so weird. But I excelled a lot like academically. School was super, super important for my family. And I just grew up that way. And then once I went to college, I went to school for 3 years, and then I actually ended up dropping out. So coming from a family that is very heavy on like education, you have to go to school, get a 9-to-5, and then that's how you become successful. And so I'm sure you can imagine the horror when
They're like, what are you thinking?
Yes, like, Mom, I'm dropping out. And then on top of that, I ended up getting pregnant by my now husband. But at the time, obviously, we weren't, married. We had literally just met. And so my family was like, you're ruining your life. What are you doing? But for some reason, I just had this like vision. And I was like, I know that I have to do something different. And so I ended up just dropping out of school, driving 1,000 miles to Texas in my 2001 Honda Accord. I don't know how that car made it here. I wish I still had it. It got through a lot of things. But we ended up living out of my husband's semi-truck because he was a truck driver. So he had his own trucking business. He's been an entrepreneur since he was 21. So he started very, very young. And so that's how I learned about what entrepreneurship even was. I had no idea. I was going the traditional corporate America route. That's all that I knew. And so when he introduced me to that, I was like, wow, there's so many possibilities, out here that I just had no idea about. And so, like I said, I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. I had a high-risk pregnancy. When we moved here, we had to live out of his semi-truck for a little while, and I learned the trucking industry. I learned how to book loads. I learned how to, manage money, finances, and all. Like, I just dove headfirst into it. And then once we finally settled, I ended up getting a job at, I won't say the company, but it's a company. It's actually in Fort Worth, so not super far from here. But I remember being like 8 months pregnant, high risk pregnancy, and I was having like contractions at work. I had a panic attack. They had to call the medics and everything. And my boss said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you can't leave because there's no one to cover your shift." And so at that moment, I was like, yeah, there's no way that this is going to be my life forever. So that was the first time that I had ever just like walked out of a job, but the last time that I ever worked a 9 to 5. And I was like, yeah, there's more out there, and I know that I have to just figure something out. And so I quit, and Austin was very, very supportive of that. I helped him just with the trucking company, and I actually ended up being diagnosed with postpartum depression at that time as well, after I had my daughter. And so I was at home. I was, working on the business from home, but because he was out on the road so much, if you know anything about the trucking industry, sometimes you have to be out for weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And he was in the oil field, so it was even longer because he was miles, like hours and hours away. And so going through that, I was like, I have to do something to kind of switch it up. I have to do something to get myself out of this hole that I was in. And that's when I ended up posting my very first video on Facebook. I did a 30-day self-affirmation challenge, and I basically made videos of me literally saying self-affirmations to myself. And it sounds kind of like goofy, and at the time, I didn't really know the impact it would have on me right now, but I think those moments really changed the trajectory of my entire life. But that's how everything that you see now, that's where it started, was me just trying to figure out how to get out of that state of postpartum depression.
I love that, Sierra. And I just got to point out a few things, because if you do follow her on social media, like thousands and thousands of other people, then the Sierra that you see today, I mean, what do you drive today, Sierra? You get to pick one, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what, you have a Tesla?
Yeah, we have a Model X. We have a Hellcat, so a Challenger. And then we also have just like a pickup truck. But
And then you live no longer in a semi-truck, but you have a beautiful condo that y'all live in. I see the pictures of your daughter in front of the beautiful glass with the city in front of it. And that's why I was getting goosebumps the whole time that you're talking, because I'm like, man, it's always that part that I think people don't see when they're watching you on social media today. If they haven't been plugged in since those first affirmation videos, then a lot of people, this is the story that they just don't get to see. So thank you so much for sharing that, because that's really one of the reasons that you're just one of my favorite people. And now I just fell in love with you more because I realized that you've built everything through affirmations, which aligns so much with what we talk about at CEOAF as far as truly manifesting what you want and you believe in such an intentional way, which sounds like exactly what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, I realized that you can create your entire life. A lot of times we think that the circumstances that we're in, like, that's it, right? It's like we're born into this family in this neighborhood and that's all that there is. But if you can make the decision to want more, then you can achieve that. You just have to have it in your mind first,
And even achieve different. So one of the other things you talked about, dropping out of college, which was a huge deal in your family. And isn't one of your programs now named something about being a college dropout? What is that one called?
Yep. So we have a media company where we produce different podcasts and YouTube shows, and it's called College Dropout TV.
I love that.
Yeah. So just to kind of throw it in the face a little bit, like,
That's what I mean. And then she also has the stay-at-home millionaire, which I think is super cool. So you've actually started to aligning your branding techniques along with your story as well. And I know that that's just captivated and drawn in so many other people and given so many other people hope and guidance in that same situation that did decide to go the untraditional route and build out, well, what we call at CEOAF, your life by design.
Yep. I love your story so much. I was over here shaking, like goosebumps, like was trying not to gasp so you could talk. I think one of my most favorite pieces of your story is that not one time did you complain about where you were. You just spoke the truth of where you were. And I think for me that's huge, because it just shows that you do already have gratitude for the way that you were brought up and the things that you did go through to get to where you're at today. And I think that that's a huge piece that we all have to learn to accomplish in our own lives, is the gratitude for the past and the current and the future. And so to hear your side of the story, I was like, wow.
Yeah, she does word it in such a way that you feel the gratitude through the story, and that's
like
what
that Honda Accord. It went through some things, but it got me there, you know. And I'm just
well, and that's what I'm laughing about, because I see her, and I mean, she's not the one to probably talk about it, but I see her in like her cute Gucci sweaters and her Balenciaga shoes, getting out of her Tesla, just looking fly AF, you know. But then she comes in here, and you meet her in person, and her energy is very soft and sweet. She's very humble. She's talking about her gratitude for the '01 Honda that got her to, to Fort Worth to a job.
Miles away.
Yeah, and that's really the Sierra that I'm grateful we were able to bring out on the podcast, because that's the side of her that you see it on social media if you pay attention, right? But a lot of people see the glitz and the glam of where she's gotten to today, which I think Amanda and I can both understand and align, which is sometimes people forget what it took the first time. And the reason we share that is, regardless of where you are today, you can also build your life by design. You can start today with your affirmations to start telling yourself that you can do it, start believing in the vision that God gave you, and start executing towards the plan that you made with confidence. Everybody can start that today.
I love it. And just like Sierra said, you guys, it is a little bit weird when you do it, when you start those affirmations. If you've never spoken if you've never spoken positively to yourself to begin with, writing it down was like a good step for me. I remember when I first started and I had to look myself in the mirror. Like I must have heard something or read something that said, say it to yourself in the mirror. And I remember the first time I tried, I was 154 pounds or 157 pounds. I was overweight significantly for my body size. And I was going to hit 130 pounds and beautiful. That's what I wrote down. I was going to be 130 pounds and beautiful. And then I went to say it in front of the mirror, and I was like, whoo, sister, this is real and weird and real weird.
And that's why that's one of our core values, folks. Keep it weird, because it is going to feel a little bit uncomfortable when you start having different thought patterns, when you start making habits that are outside of your norm. But the only way to change your life is to change your habits, to change your mindset, to change your thoughts. And so I'm like, well, y'all write all that down. Start today. Because that really is the secret sauce that I think people do miss. So I love that you plugged that in. You're like, that literally changed the trajectory of my whole life. And now here we are.
That's the foundation of everything that you do. And a lot of people don't realize that they, like, if you were to say to someone else the things that you say to yourself, you would offend them, or you would be uncomfortable telling it to someone, right? But you're saying it to yourself. And so a lot of people don't have that self-confidence to take the risk or to, follow their dreams. So that self-confidence is everything, and it's the foundation of anything that you do in life.
At CEOAF, we call this being your own bestie, because I completely agree, Sierra. And I started off with that too, and I tell our clients, I'm like, man, the truth is, if Amanda talked to me as my best friend, if she talked to me the way that some of y'all are talking to yourselves, I'd ask her to get out of my car. I'd be like, hey, sister, we ain't hanging out anymore. You're kind of mean.
And I tell her all the time, I'm like, I would see myself out. I don't believe in talking to anybody, including myself, like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, Sierra, jumping in. So we started with the affirmations on social media, right? It's like, that's where it started. Is that where other people started just aligning with you, and your impact really started right there with social media? Or that's where it took off?
Yeah, so I probably had like maybe 500 friends, 200 to 500 friends at that time. Like, it was just people that I knew. And once I started posting, I realized that, because I did it for 30 days. And so I realized that it was starting to get a little bit of traction. Like, my friends, like, they were really enjoying it. And so I was like, well, let me just keep posting. So I was just still posting different things, like motivational things and sharing life things. And then I started sharing the things that we were learning in the trucking industry. Because, I was learning about business credit. I was learning about how to run a business. So I just started posting about it. And then I realized, wow, people are actually really interested in learning about these things. And then that's when I realized, okay, maybe I can make something out of this. I don't know what, but let's just take it seriously and see what happens.
Wow, I absolutely love that. So
I love that you slowed down to share the journey, is the truth. I wish, I truly wish that I would have slowed down to share more of my journey in the beginning with others, because I think that we all could have helped. And fed off of each other, if you will. That's truth be told, that's one of the pieces that brought me to CEOAF with Kimbo. Was it was so much fun building RKG and the Bell Realty Group, seeing what she was doing, seeing what I was doing, mixing pieces, and then stepping into CEOAF and building the curriculums out for the Warrior Program together brought me so much joy. I wish that I would have slowed down to share more of that. I love that you did.
Yeah, people will find, because a lot of times people think that you can only showcase the journey once you're at the like your destination or you're super successful in it. And I think that's why I've been able to build such a dedicated community, because a lot of people will be like, hey, I remember when you were doing videos in like the corner of your little tiny apartment on your cell phone. You know, people will remember those things. So it's good to be able to show where you're at right now, and people will follow you throughout your entire journey.
I love that. Did you guys hear that? It doesn't matter where you're at right now.
Yes.
We're future forward thinkers over here.
Yes.
And start sharing the journey today. People do want to be a part of that.
And that's the biggest thing that I hear people kicking back on social media, if you will. They don't know what to share. They don't know what to post. Does anybody care? My story's not interesting. Yep. And the truth is, what you are, if you're growing and you're learning every day and you're sharing that journey, so many other people do benefit from that. Yeah. And so many people are entertained by what other people are doing. I'm like, humans love the story. We've loved it back since the caveman days when we used to draw the pictures on the wall. People love to know what you have going on. And so I love that. I love that feedback for everybody. It's like, just share what you're really doing every day and what you have going on. And your tribe will align to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll relate to it, because there's people who are in the same position that you are right now. They're going to relate to that. They're going to draw to you. And then as you grow, you know, the people around you hopefully will be able to elevate and grow and gain value from watching what you're doing.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I love that. So, Sierra, is there any secret sauces, if you will, maybe for somebody that's just starting out on social media? I think that was really a great, like, post, right? Yeah. Start posting. Maybe for somebody that's trying to grow theirs, right? Like they've grown a little bit of traction, but because you've just had massive success in that. I mean, when we say that you've built a community, and maybe that's the real question, is what's the secret to building that community and gaining that tribe of followers that does continue to just ripple out and grow into something like you've grown right now? There has to be some intention and skill set behind what you've been able to achieve in the social media arena on every platform.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely strategy that goes behind building a community. A lot of people will mistake a following for a community, and they'll think because someone has 1 million followers, then they're a successful business owner or they have a strong community. It's not true. Or people think that I only have 1,000 followers, so there's no way I can have a community, and that's not true. Yep. You know, and so community is all about having that dedicated tribe who is dedicated to you and your brand, and they relate to you, and they really see you as a friend. I tell business owners all the time is that, you know, you wouldn't sit in front of a TV and watch commercials all day, right? So to think about that with your social media, like people want to hear about the business and the products that you have to offer, but they also want to know who you are. They want to get to know you. You want them to feel like they're your friend, you know, because we do business with people, you know? And so if you can just showcase not only your business, but also who you are as a person, you're going to find people who align with your values, the things that you like, even the things that you find funny, you know? So I tell people, don't take social media too seriously, you know, loosen up. It's okay to let your hair down and have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, I just love that so much. Do you typically advise that people start with one platform, or copy and paste repurpose the content across multiple platforms?
Yeah, I say be everywhere that you can.
Okay.
You know, because I know it can be a lot, like trying to manage social media, it can be like a full-time job in itself. And then, you know, many people who are listening, they probably have businesses or jobs or other things that they're doing. And I say, you know, the things that I post on Facebook, I'll just repurpose that and turn it into an Instagram post. So you don't have to be extremely creative every single day, because people who are scrolling on Facebook, they may not even see it, but they might see it on Instagram. So you want to give people the opportunity to see you as many times as possible.
I do love that so much. I felt it when you said, like in my stomach, I was like, oh, that's so true. When you said to let your hair down and have some fun with it. Don't take it so seriously. Because I do find myself telling not only the agents at the Bell Realty Group, but the warriors at CEOAF all the time, you guys, even if you mess up on your videos, even if you feel like you've stumbled, leave it. Even if it got no attention, no attraction, no anything, please do me a favor and leave it. But a lot of that is because something urged you to throw that out there, right? To slap the noodle on the wall and see if it sticks. At that point, I truly believe, for at least for myself, you guys, it is not worth going back and picking it apart. That you already put your time and your energy and everything into getting it out there. And I promise you, they do see it. People do see it and they do relate to it. And it's not always the person who slows down to hit the like button after they get done reading it or watching it, right? And so leaving it, that's in fact that's how I brought in several of the agents that started with the team this year. Was from one post that went out on Facebook that got zero attention. I'm talking zero attention. And then next thing you know, there's 6 new agents starting in January at the Bell Realty Group. So it's like, leave the post alone. Don't criticize yourself. Let your hair down and have some fun.
I think that's such a great point, too. I've had so many people that I run into in person, and they're like, Kimba, I've been following you on social media for years. And I'm like, who are you? Right. Like, where are you? You don't ever engage with my stuff. And I just think that that's such a powerful point that Amanda just brought up of, man, not like some people sit in the shadows. Some people don't go and are always showing you who's watching. But it's been crazy, the impact that has happened even in the shadows on social media. But that's not the case for you. You always have heavy engagement on your posts. So can we talk about that? Because I'm like, I don't think she has any posts. I don't know that she knows what we're talking about. I don't think that happens to Sierra. I do love that.
No, I definitely do know what you're talking about because, everyone started at zero at some point, so that's one thing that people forget. Like, they'll compare their page to someone else who's been doing this for 10 years, but it's like they once had 0 followers, they once had 0 likes, and that's okay. But that's where that character building and that community building comes in. It's like, if you can keep posting, even if you feel like no one's watching, you're going to be 10 times ahead of other people in your industry because it's really a compound effect, And so over the years, it's going to get a lot easier to where you don't even have to maybe post once a week and it'll still have the same impact because you've been doing it for so long.
I love that. So consistency was key for you. Yes. Do you have anything that's like set in stone for yourself that says, hey, Sierra, I'm Amanda, right, Sierra, I'm waking up today and it's Monday, and I know on Mondays I send out 3 whatever, right? Do you have anything like that, or you just wing it and call it a wrap?
I actually kind of wing it because I feel like if you try to put too much structure, like, okay, I have to post at these 3 times in the day, it puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
And I think your content tends to perform better when you're just being yourself. And so whenever I feel like posting or I'll think of something, I'll just, make the post. So
I love that.
People tend to overthink it too much. And so I try to simplify it as much as possible because then that will allow you to feel more comfortable to post more consistently.
Yeah. So I do tell a lot of, not only myself, but my team as well. So my team, and I have to have the same conversation with myself, that very same thing, because it's almost like if it's on the calendar that you better be on social media at 2 p.m., well, guess what? You done already wore yourself out before 2 p.m. came because you knew you had to build up for something that you ultimately didn't even show up for. Right. And so I'm like, don't do that to yourself. But I love hearing you say you just wing it and you really show up raw and natural and let it flow.
Yeah.
And talk to them like they're your friend. Yes. That's one of my biggest takeaways from this too, because that's what I've had to do and learn to do in live videos. I did a live video last week that got great engagement, great feedback, and I truly just hit live and spoke from the heart. And I didn't try to put anything more into it other than here's what I'm going to talk about, and I'm just going to speak from the heart. And even in our training that we've been doing on more stage speaking, that's been one of the key elements in that as well is, people just naturally are going to connect with you better when you're being your organic self, you're being your genuine self, and you're speaking from the heart. So I love that advice of if I feel it, I say it. If I don't, I don't.
Exactly. And like I said, it takes the pressure off. And I know that you do an amazing job, I feel like, at that with your own social media marketing, because you are so easily able to intertwine like the more lifestyle, casual content with the actual business content, you know? And so that's what I try to teach people when they ask me, hey, like, how can I grow my social media, is, like I said, you don't want to just a whole page of commercials. You know, you have to intertwine a little bit of the lifestyle, or even just things that you're interested in that you know that your audience will be interested in, right? So sometimes I'll even post and talk about like different memes or different things that happen in pop culture and tie that back into my audience with business and entrepreneurship. So it's okay to not put so much pressure on yourself when it comes to your content.
You actually do that a lot, and that's such a great idea. Yeah, now that you just said that, I'm like, I can see how intentional you are about doing that and relating to your audience's demographic in that way. So that's probably one of the things that I could even do better on. Thank you for that compliment. That I probably could do better on too, is being more mindful about what is my audience into, and if I'm going to post about things outside of business, make sure that it's, which for me it's family and the kid and those things. So I do that, but I love how intentional you are about bringing pop culture into what you're doing. And then you said something else very important, Sierra. She says, when I teach people, okay? So to wrap up this podcast today, Sierra, will you let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, sister? Because she does teach that's why I was grateful and started off the podcast with, she's agreed to share some things, because people do pay Sierra to help their social media grow. And if you're out there and you're looking for somebody to help your social media grow, you're wanting to become an influencer, there's money in affiliate marketing, even if you don't have a business that you're marketing for, being an affiliate for other people's business. And if that's you out there, Sierra has just crushed the game on being able to do this. And she's a really cool person to get to kick it with too. So I'm like, I always love being in Sierra's energy. So will you tell them, sister, how they can find you and connect with you for, one, just to follow you in general, but also to get a hold of some of your courses that you do, because those are great.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can really find me on every platform under Sierra Nicole. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. And I post a lot of just free information, free content, so if you start there and just, start watching a few videos, and if you have questions, you can always DM me. I do answer DMs. I know a lot of influencers like, oh, don't DM me. Like, no, you can send me a DM or comment, and I'll definitely respond. And my goal is just to help as many people as possible, because everyone has a message to share. Everyone has value to give. And so I just do the best that I can to help everyone, because social media changed my life completely. And I just want to see as many people succeed the way that I've been able to.
I could cry. I just love her.
Oh,
like, you want to go to my house later?
I knew you would. And we're excited to collaborate with you on stuff in the future, girl. She has so much going on too. I said we were going to end it, but I've got to plug in the last thing that I'm super impressed with Sierra about. She's actually launching a mentorship program for teenagers right now. So if you don't mind, could we just spend maybe, a few more seconds on just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing, we are creating a mentorship program for teens and young adults. And our goal is to teach them about content creation, podcasting like this, because there's a lot of opportunity right now. And even if they don't want to be, an influencer, or they might not want to have a business, you can go and work for a company and make $50, $60, $70, even $100,000 knowing these skills of how to do podcasts, how to create content, how to edit videos, how to record videos. And so we're putting together a curriculum and an in-person program to give them hands-on training on how to produce podcasts, how to be in front of the camera, behind the camera, and do the post-production. So that's what we're putting together now, and we're super, super excited about it.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. What is considered a young adult? Because I do think that I'm going to live to be like 120. So technically, I'm still a very young adult.
I also want to make sure that you two connect off scene, because I don't know that we've talked about this on our podcast yet, but Amanda and her other best friend, Michelle, are kicking off a 501c. We actually already had the first event, so kicked off a 501c for Life Skills for Teens. It's a Life Skills for Teens event, and we were starting it here in DFW. I already know it's going to go nationwide, probably worldwide. Just with the impact that the first event already had, we're going to see that really grow. So I think that would be great to
That would be
see
so
how we
neat
could
to have
collaborate
that.
together to just impact the teenage. Because that's one of the things Amanda said. She goes, man, this isn't just great for teenagers, but young adults.
Yes.
So that's what just stuck out to me about what you just said. But we all align in that way, that we just want to leave. you know, we're happy, we're living our life by design, and now it's just time to bring other people with us and show other people that it's possible and continue to raise the vibration of the planet. So thank you for being a part of that, Sierra.
Absolutely.
Thank
and
you, sister.
I so appreciate the platform that you guys have created. Like I said, I've been watching for a while, and you both give tons of value online. I see it. And obviously the people are impacted by your CEO AF program. And so I'm just grateful to even be here.
Well, thank you, Sarah. It won't be the last time. We'll be doing more
Yes.
stuff together, sister. Everybody, thank you so much. And if you make sure that you head over to Sierra's page, right, and be one of the other hundred thousands of people that follow her. She does give so much, and she shows up consistently every single day with so much value and entertainment. And if you got anything from this episode today, we would greatly appreciate it if you would hit share. If you got value from it, thousands of other people will too. Let's let the ripple effect not end with us. Click the share button. We appreciate you guys so much for spending a few minutes of your day with us, and we'll see y'all on the next episode.